Hello Facebook, hello YouTube, what is going on everybody? This is Ruben and I'm back with another Ruben report. And today we are going to be going over the SGE or the stock gearing experiment results. We've been riding for the past week with the stock sprocket back on the bike and riding at much lower RPMs to try to determine whether the lower RPM riding would have any effect on our valve recession issue. And so far, before we get started into the results of that test, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the miles, and then we'll go over, just the general specs so everybody knows where we're at. All right. So we are currently at 5,710.2 miles. That would mean we are at 3,436.9 miles on the new engine. And on the current valve adjustment, we have 297 miles. Yeah, having 297 miles, it's still pretty much the same as last week, around 300 miles. I didn't get to ride the bike as much as I wanted to, mainly because we had that one hiccup during the test last week. And for those who don't know and haven't been following along, last week, I believe it was Thursday, day 4 was actually cut short because my stock battery died on me. I was riding to work, and once I got off of work, as soon as I came out to try to get back onto the bike to ride home, the bike wouldn't turn on, and I'll show you guys a clip of that here. Alright, sadly guys, today's experiment video is going to be cut short. I came out of work today and tried to get on and turn on the bike, but I think the battery is having like draining issues or something. Yeah, so it just won't turn on. Called my insurance, and I wanted to, try to get a jump start, but I guess they don't jump start bikes, so it's gonna have to get towed, unfortunately, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, all they need to do is put some juice in the battery, but yeah, my battery is probably, it's as old as the bike is. It's this standard stock battery, so I have not been putting the bike on a charger, mainly because I ride it every day, so it should be getting charged while riding, and yeah, it being used every day, I never saw a reason to put it on the charger. But I guess I should start putting it on the charger, but at the same time, I think it's just the battery is just going bad. I know that the RX3s have, in the past, have had a battery issue, and this is really no exception. But at the same time, my bike is a 2021 model. I have no idea how long it's just been sitting before I bought it. And I've had the bike for a little over 6 months now, so it's probably just time to replace it. Yeah, we'll see. I'll see what type of battery I can get and potentially replace it so that I can keep on riding it, because I need some kind of vehicle to get back and forth from work, and my truck is still down that right now. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Sorry. So yeah, if you go back to the day 4 video, you can see things in a lot more detail, a lot more comments that I had on that whole issue. I believe the reason why the battery failed so prematurely, well, start off with this. My bike is a 2021 model. I have no idea how long the bike was sitting before I bought it, but I've had the bike up to this point for about 7 months, maybe like 7.5 months. So at minimum, or at the very low end, the battery could have been about 7 months old, and then on the very high end it could have been a year and 7 months old. Who knows? Again, no idea how long the bike was just sitting before I got the bike into my possession. But anyway, motorcycle batteries, generally speaking, should last anywhere between 2 to 5 years. But for that particular motorcycle battery and the style of battery that it was one of those general lead acid, like, basically, I'm not saying it's the cheapest battery, I'm just saying it's pretty much the lowest quality battery that you can buy. I'm not saying that particular battery was the cheapest or the lowest quality. I'm just, the design of it is the lowest quality that you can buy today. And doing research, those particular style of batteries don't do very well when there is constant or frequent charges and discharges to the system. So in essence, me actually riding this bike every single day is the main reason why that battery had such a short lifespan, because the more it discharges and the more that it charges, the shorter the overall efficiency and the capacity of the battery over time diminishes quite drastically as well. So that's why my battery only lasted 7 months. No issues though. I went ahead and bought a brand new battery, and that battery is a AGM battery. Okay. Found it at O'Reilly's. Just had to search around a little bit to get the right battery group size, which is group size 12, and it works just fine. The AGM style batteries, doing a little research, they're actually a lot better than the gel style. So it's not the absolute best, it's one step below the lithium. So the AGM is the is the next best to lithium ion batteries. All right, so the results. We started the week off with riding the bike, and in day 1 I really was just testing the stock gearing overall. Day 1 riding to work, I was trying to maintain the same speed as I was when I had the lower gearing, and we discovered that with stock gearing, in comparison to the lower gearing that I had before, 13 tooth front sprocket, which I have a 14 tooth in there now, the RPMs, they only went down by 500. There was only a 500 RPM difference between stock gearing and lowered gearing. So riding at 55 miles an hour GPS, as I always do, I was at 6,500 RPMs instead of 7,000. Now, after day 1, I pretty much decided there's probably not going to be much of a difference between 7,000 RPMs and 6,500 RPMs. So I started to ride the remaining of the days. Every other day, I started to ride at 6,000 RPMs instead of 6,500. So 6,000 RPMs with stock gearing is 50 miles an hour GPS. I was already the slow poke on the back roads riding at 55. Now I'm really the slowest guy out there. And so as far as top speed is concerned, all the metrics were listed really just for record keeping. There were no passes. I'm the slowest guy on the back roads. There's no passes. Everything's really tame and chill. Everybody passes me now. But the results that we got were pretty astonishing. The first day, there were no MPG results. It was just to get a baseline for RPMs. So first day, we started after we did our riding for day one, we ended with an idle RPM at 1500, which is right where you want to be. The next day is where we finally got our MPG baseline, and again we got idle between 1500, and it sometimes jumped back and forth between 1500 and 1550. But for the MPG, we got 61 miles to the gallon, so 61 MPG. As the week progressed, day 3, we had our lowest dip in MPG performance, but RPMs, idle RPMs, were consistent at 1500 to 1550. MPG for day 3 was 58.6. Day 4, like I was just stating before, got cut short. No MPG numbers for that day, but after work I was riding a bike around town, running a lot of errands because I had to race between different auto stores and go to the grocery store or whatnot. I still got idle RPM measurements for that day, same 1500 to 1550. Mind you, this is all riding at 6000 RPM or below. Last day, the final day, Friday, rode back and forth from work after having installed my new battery, and at the end of our ride that day, we had idle RPMs at 1500, and our MPG for that day was an astonishing 65.6. So as you guys can see, at the start of the week, we started with 1500, and we started with 61 MPG, and by the end of the week, we ended with 1500, and we actually got even better MPG with 65.6. It's almost as if the bike started to run better as the week progressed and as the days progressed. So with those results, I believe it's pretty conclusive that the bike is showing absolutely no signs of valves being out of adjustment like it was doing last week when we were riding just 1000 RPMs higher for the same amount of mileage, right? I think last week we rode 302 miles. This week we rode 297. And in comparison to last week, we saw an increase in idle RPMs by 300. We started with 1500, ended with 1800. And this week, we started with 1500, we ended with 1500. No change there. MPG, we started with 58.6 last week, we ended with 53.8. This week, we actually ended with better MPG. So yeah, I believe these results are pretty much conclusive. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, especially if you're someone who rides this bike every single day like I do. Okay? If you're someone who rides this bike every single day for a considerable distance, and you want to avoid the possibility of developing a valve recession issues, okay, this is what you do. You ride the bike at 6,000 RPMs or below. 6,000 RPMs is your red line, okay? Do not ride this bike above 6,000 RPMs. You'll be fine, okay? Now, I'm going to continue to ride the bike at this newfound 6,000 RPMs. As long as I continue to keep it, really. My truck is still down, and well, be honest with you, I'm kind of stuck with this bike, and buying something else is not so easy. I'm going to try to get my money's worth out of it before I just completely get rid of it. So I'm going to continue to ride this bike at 6,000 RPMs, and if we make it, or however far we make it before needing a valve adjustment, I'll update everyone so that way we all could get a baseline for how far this bike can actually go riding at 6,000 RPMs. But now, knowing this bike's true limitations for daily commuting, it is kind of disappointing. And the main reason why it's disappointing is because, again, the way that this bike was marketed, it was marketed in such a way that as if it had certain capabilities and performance, performance that was completely outside of its realistic limitations. And it's just unfortunate that I had to go through all of this trouble to figure that out. You know? But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Next week I plan to release my 6,000 mile review. We're gonna hit 6,000 miles next week, and again, now knowing all the information that we need to know, I think I can make a conclusive, fair review on this bike now. It having a top speed limit, or realistic speed limit, of 50 miles an hour without doing damage to the engine, that doesn't make it necessarily a bad bike. That just makes it a bike that doesn't really fit the needs and the expectations that I had while I was looking for a bike. And all those different expectations were, written out and discussed in previous videos, such as should you buy a CSC motorcycle to save money on gas, and also my expectations video. So in short, I know it's a 250cc motorcycle, but ride it like it's a 125, you'll be fine. Okay? And as stated before, I'm going to continue to ride this bike for, well, as long as I can and will, and I'll update you guys if I see any of those same old symptoms of valves coming out of alignment again, monitoring MPG performance and idle RPMs, the same old. All right, so until next time, guys, stay safe out there, and peace.